to Red Reality. We have a very special edition, special guests here from the Nordic Baltic Sustainability Conference that just took place here in Vorstjarnan. And we have with us many guests. The studio has rarely been this full. We have Alejandra, she's from Denmark, and the German, who's from Estonia. Maria and Janne from Finland. Janne. Matthias from Norway. Hi. And Ylva Sóley, who is an Icelandic Swede, you might say. Been living in Sweden, but living here now. Yes. And Vivian from Norway. Hello all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I missed the conference, but there's an upside. Listeners can get an insight into what was going on here a couple of hours ago. What were the main takeaways of this conference?
Well, we talk about lots of different areas of sustainability and how we could achieve more in that area. And we had different opinions about this and different ways of thinking about that.
It's a cooperation project with many different people from different backgrounds. So
yes.
You're not all from the same political strains. You have different views.
We are more like NGOs.
We all are different, with different background, different age, and different vision of this life. This collaboration is very interesting about our difference, and for this collaboration, we want to find way what we are together can go for better future for us and for our kids and next generations.
Because we are in a crisis. With the climate. And
in one way, yes, we need to find ways to stop the climate change and make it less waste and how to recycle all the waste and think about like that way in the future and teach these things in school and these ideas.
And what is the importance of the Nordic countries and the Baltic countries cooperating?
Well, it's we're all small countries on a geopolitical scale, so it's of course very important. For example, Norway, we sit outside of the European Union, but still we try as well as we can with our national government right now to try, even though, to cooperate along not only within our own country but also international borders. We also cross as well, as long as we can.
Did you have any points of disagreement earlier that were discussed? Could we go into that?
Yeah, for sure. So conference was talking about green and just transition. And main topic was for encourage just and efficient green transition in Iceland. We're talking about most important topic of it. After dealing with let's create a greener future by engaging startups and communities, how it's working, how it's collaborating, like also for our NGOs, CSOs and other collaboration organizations, it's really important to be cooperative in that part. And after moving to panel discussions, we're talking about this topic like integrating sustainable development. Not only we're talking about sustainability, we can recognize 4 main topics, but there are 17 if we need to remember about it. And green transition and empowerment of sustainable change. At the local level, how to work with government, with businesses. Also we had ambassadors from Iceland and businessmen and people from industry.
Yeah.
And what are some things that you would think that you would all agree on needs to happen as soon as possible to deal with the climate change? Are there some key points you found concurrent?
Yeah, I would say getting both governmental organizations and civil societies and businesses, local and multinational businesses, to all pull into the same direction, into moving towards, for example, recycling, other stuff.
Yeah, I think we all totally agree in that.
To find ways produce less waste, so we don't need to recycle so much. So in the beginning of the production, we also should make less waste in that time.
Yeah, one of the things that we also mentioned was that legislation and rules have to go together with action. That if to recycle, when all of our food comes in a lot of package, it doesn't make sense. So we need to make everything go hand in hand, and this is why these kind of gatherings are so important, because there's so many different sectors that get together. It's people from their own private organizations, people that come from the representing the government, they're representing individuals. If we have to create this ecosystem where we all are one living humanity, then we have to make sure that all of this go hand in hand, because right now what is happening is that we are dealing with certain problems separately.
Yeah, and I can add to that, like, we have to see ourselves that we are sharing this world together. So what happens on the other side of the world also affects us a lot. So circle economy is really important to be able to manage this sustainability that we're talking about.
The planet seems very big, but everything has every thing you do, it stays in the atmosphere. If you pump out some carbon dioxide, and it doesn't go away. So you need to be more conscious of this. Now, I come from a socialist perspective, and one of the major issues I see is that, for example, a carbon tax seems to be in many cases impossible. Not because it's theoretically impossible, but because fossil fuel companies are too powerful. Like we saw in the last COP climate conference, I think fossil fuel lobbyists were the biggest single interest group.
Yep, here's also monopoly in oil, because when something like startup or new organization, green organization are going to the market, is really debatable and very hard to this company, because it needs to dealing with other problems which were in our planet for many years and were developing. And also in the conference we're trying to take these atomic habits of the people, because we can talk about these huge problems, but all start with us. And like I think it starts with motivation, because motivation give you the first step, after habits to make it real, and also discipline to take it a long time period. Also, we're talking about CSO work, organization, and also politics, policy, and other stuff. We're talking about a long time period, and also about be more green and sustainable. It's a long time period. You can do it now in a second, and this is one thing that you can remember. And every people can change for 1%, so it means that for 1 year, you'll be 3 times better in this place, in this background.
If you change the direction a little bit, in 100 years or so, you will be in a totally different place than you would have been if you wouldn't have course corrected.
And we also talk lots about digital tools, what we can use to help the sustainability. So different part of that we talk. And some company things we also talk about, how some companies plan to get their ideas to be more sustainable and how to recycle their products and things like that.
From listening, many people think it's unfair that the responsibility is put on individuals, because you are correct, we could change things individually.
Companies' responsibility always with the product from the beginning when they start producing the product, and then when they sell it, and the part when it's broken or could not be anymore fixed or reused, then the company should be made reliable to take it back.
Yeah, if I can add, I think we should think more like we do this together, because if we start to blame each other, we are making the big companies a favor, because they want us to blame each other rather than them. So to like be blaming each other for flying and so on, that's just what they want. So I think we should start to cooperate better together and see where the real problem is, and go from there.
Because it's entirely possible to make things change drastically quickly if it's just done.
And also we can start it by thinking about that. Okay, how we ourselves use electricity, how we reduce that amount, and that's one way of making change. Also, that yourself think about that, how you use yourself electricity.
Wasting energy is terrible.
But I believe that also in short term CO2 savings, looking into yourself, because or looking into yourself is one of the most effective tools to reduce your CO2 footprint, because right now there might not be any sustainable alternatives for a certain product, but if you look at it and you're conscious about that product, you can look for other alternatives. You can extend the life period. You can do things to it that makes it last longer, or you can look for other alternatives that might also fit your needs but might not be sold in a traditional, for example, grocery store. I remember I saw one time it was bananas grown in Argentina, shipped to the Philippines, packaged in plastic there, and then shipped to the United States. You know, there are other alternatives than the world's most traveled banana.
Yeah. This goes to the the people talk. You know, we have globalism, the globalized economy, where this is most efficient to the markets, but the markets aren't taking in externalities that aren't factored into the prices. But this question of, do we go further into globalization and like centralization of energy creation and production, and then it's moved all around the globe, or do we need to like localize our economies more?
I would think more localize.
Yeah,
because then we can also make sure about our energy needs in local level. We can get the local ways of producing energy. It's either by wind or sun or geothermal or water or whatever is the best way in the local way.
But I don't think we should look, too local. There's no need for example, Oslo and Stockholm to have their own battery manufacturing plants. I think we should look into Europe for our security, both in product, in food, in power. But we should keep it there. We should, I think, reduce our reliance on long-term transport, for example, from China or America for our products.
Yeah. And I think also if we want to make a change, we also have to be more curious about the things that we are using, the things that we are eating. Like, where does this food come from? Who did this food? And to be conscious about what we are eating. I think we have to start there to realize also what's going on. Because I've been meeting farmers in Tanzania and India, and they are saying that it feels like it's going on a big war that no one is really listening to or really taking care of. So I think curiosity is a good start as well, and also to educate yourself in what's going on. It's a good start for being more sustainable.
Exactly. On the individual level, it's not just misinformation, it's also missed information. It's the information you haven't went out to get.
Yeah.
And we were also talking about here in the conference on how young people struggle with mental health because it seems overwhelming, all of these things that we're dealing with, and being told that youth is the future and not looking at it as we are all the future. We all take each our step towards this green transition that we're having now. The information is out there. You can learn almost anything on YouTube. So why wouldn't you also be able to learn how to be more sustainable?
I heard, somebody once said that if you would were selecting stuff from the store and you were buying items, and if you would get like a vision when you picked up an item of its whole process of being produced, of all the people that came to producing it, you would just be shocked and throw it away. Because, yes, it's an important point to realize what has gone into each and every product. And this also relates to the global inequalities that are extreme. Climate change is having severe impacts already in places. Is this global inequity, is this addressed in your conference? Or is that perhaps a wider point not covered by the Nordic Baltic Sustainability Conference?
Or it's like how you're saying about the over-consuming, because I see like for, when you are going to pick an apple or something, you need to have this plastic bag to just get it away further. But I think that we could go on with like new solutions. We just need to find what we can select about other materials, because now it's like you see it on, as you said, on everything that could have another recycled material could be a solution.
And of course, we discuss and some globally topic, but our conference special will be Nordic Baltic area, because our idea like that, even we want to change the world, all of us, but we need to do it step by step. And we can't do big changes like straight away. That reason we have a collaboration where each of us, we start with individual level, what say Alejandra, because if each of us don't want to change something inside yourself, inside your family, and step by step go to higher, and that changes has happened. And of course, how we discussed earlier, we represented different ideas, and it's good because for all this idea, we can find maybe a few what will be good for all of us, and we want to be further for this way.
It's important to find something where you can unite around.
Yes.
Connected to this mental health, like when we have such a huge problem, it's existential in many ways and enormous, but doing what you can be very beneficial to the mental health, even though it seems to be very insignificant. It just sets you up in a correct way. Can you tell me, though, in your respective countries, Norway, Sweden, what's the situation there? Is the green transition going well in Norway, say?
Well, if you look at the CO2 numbers, including the oil that is produced on the Norwegian waters, it doesn't look very good. But if you look at just for continental Norway, also without the waters, we've seen a decrease in CO2 emissions since, I think, about 2019. We're on target for our own CO2 projections, and it's looking good in regards to both Paris and Kyoto and COP28, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And Sweden? Is good news from Sweden?
Yeah, I've been living in Iceland for the past years, but I think there you talked about mental health. I mean, things are getting better. Like if you just look on everything, things are getting better, but we tend to report, like, of course we always want to be better on what we are doing, so it's more easy to see the problems, and that's, I think, also Greta Thunberg, that I think most of us know. She also was suggesting that it's the most important thing we can do is to educate ourselves. But if I don't have any numbers if it is better or so for these 3 past years as you have, but I think it's a bit similar to Norway, I would guess.
England has reduced its CO2 emissions, but mostly it's been because they're moving production to China. So, you know. What about Finland?
It's fake news in that way.
It's exactly what we discuss, a critical thinking about that.
So I'm thinking the mental health thing is going much more better in Finland, and also all the SDGs. We are in quite good condition to go. What's the goal for us? So we're moving towards that all the time, what's like meant to be.
And Estonia, or do you want to add something?
Yes, maybe I tell a few words. Like, yes, at Finland, it's all these topics, and especially DG, it's very important. And especially it's in our program, because we need to adapt it for our needs and grow up together. And all these ecology questions, it's also very important topic in high-level discussion, and it's very good that it's not only like civil society ask what we do, how we do, but also government. In a high level, we have a special law what can have a regulation about this question. And of course education as well, how we discuss, especially in my organization, Femina, our idea that education is most important topic for youngsters, and we work very much with young people, because they need to know their right, they need to know SDGs, because really even it's like we think like everybody know about that, but it's not true. And we promote all of that youngsters also can advocate and say their opinion about that. And actually last year we ran a project, advocacy. youth advocacy, and I can say that youngsters have great ideas. And really, we adults need to listen to them and maybe find better solutions with their help.
And you in Finland, you have an exemplary education system, it seems. You're coming very nicely out of all tests and so on. And this is a major part of it, being able to educate the youth and getting their input, because their minds are fresh and they got good ideas. Maybe they are more willing to look beyond what we are used to, the older ones. It gets stuck in its ways. German, is Estonia making progress?
I would say that, yeah. It's making good for Estonia is a rapidly developing country for last 10 years. And we're talking about also digitalization. For the last years in Estonia and startups, new ideas for worldwide, really. And about sustainability, I would really appreciate the Estonia government, Estonia small cities, who is trying to make something new, who is not going for this way, are just trying to make another by their steps. And also Estonia can't compete with this high-end organization in Nordic countries, in other European countries, but here is the cooperation, and cooperation is the key of solving the problems. And I think that for the digitalization and green transition, Estonia have a good plan for it, but there should be more monitoring and analysis with government and with businesses. Because when we're talking about this field, it's hard to determine other problems and also regulate it all in one time. Just to be in the right way, it's hard because also people are people, and we need to be more patient, everybody of us, be more patient about our future.
But I have to add, like, can we afford patience?
I think it's something in yourself. It's something that you can provide, but it depends on your own.
Yeah, I think also we have to a little bit what you were talking about before, that we have to also think that we are also living right now. That like with the mental health, that you have to also think sustainability within yourself. You have to also make sure that this life brings you something, so that you don't go the whole life and just are afraid on what's gonna happen. So I think it's also important to realize that youth are the future, but also now. And try to not like, of course, as you say, like we have to do something now, but we also have to take care of our young's mental health and try to make stuff happen now.
And
it's very difficult.
We should also make sure to make all earnings groups or salary groups feel included, because I fear that for example, Norway, land of Teslas, but they still cost 60,000 euros, and that's still a yearly salary. But if you're living near people and you see, oh, he's got a Tesla, she's got a Tesla, everyone has a Tesla but me, I have the same 2007 Toyota Camry.
Gasoline.
Yeah, exactly. You're turning the struggle against climate change into more of like a status symbol, that you can afford to act now. But my neighbor, he's broke, he can't.
Yeah, and then the guilt is put on him. But
then it's his fault, and then you see this. You can split up society, by who has chosen to do, who can take their disposable income and try to do something about climate change themselves.
Yeah,
but if you think about actually the car for 2007 and still running, it's much more sustainable than the Tesla in the beginning. So in
buying
that
a
way,
new car is not necessarily the solution.
No.
Using what we have.
Yeah, you should use what you have as much as possible and fix it as long as possible. And also all the products what you buy, you should have the same idea that you don't buy a product which will go broke in 3 years or 5 years. You should last. All the products should last at least 10 or 15 years, and you should get all the parts for fixing them, and the fixing shouldn't cost more than the new one. So that's also big, like a sustainability idea for there. And I work in Atea, which is an IT company in Nordic, and they have a policy now that each device they sell, they will buy one old one back also.
Oh, good
so
policy.
they recycle that way in their mind also.
But I think also we have to be careful a little bit with the word sustainability. In Sweden, for example, they say also these things that they will plant a new tree, like they do something bad, but they will plant a new tree for it. But it's totally different to have an old forest with trees that are 100 or more years old, and then to have a completely new forest. Like we have all the biological diversity in an old forest, and in Sweden it's just getting lower and lower and lower. And if we continue like this, we will not have any old forest left, and that will be like extremely bad for our resilience. So it's really important also that we know what are we talking about when we are talking about sustainability. It's not just throw the word in and say we will plant a tree and everything will be good. We have to know what will happen if we don't have this forest and we just put this new tree. We have to know exactly what we are talking about when we talk about sustainability.
Yeah, and I also think that another solution is about like clothes, because in Norway we also have the stores for used clothes, but it costs like literally the same as if you're going to buy new clothes. So then it's like the option of, are you going to buy new clothes and have like the new ones, or are you going to go to shop where you can buy used clothes and be more more into climate then. But like then it's like we have been discussing about how can we do this, how can it like progress, because now it's almost the same price, and then it's not so convenient to buy then the used clothes.
It's important to make the sustainable options more affordable.
As well.
And on that, I just want to jump in that my political party, the party I'm affiliated with, the Liberal Party of Norway, has looked into several times, because the reason that second-hand clothes in Norway are very expensive is because that they're not only taxed first when you buy them, when they're new, which of course they should be, everyone should pay sales tax, but then they get used, they get worn, they get sold to a second-hand store, that's taxed. You as a hopefully sustainably minded consumer buys this second-hand pair of, for example, jeans, and then there's also another 25% tax on that. So you're effectively probably double or triple taxing the same piece of clothes.
Yeah,
that should be like legally solve the problem that you shouldn't pay 3 times taxes from same product when you reuse it. It should be one time and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, because you're at the end of the day you're still doing something good.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's
you as a consumer
point.
shouldn't be punished for it.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I agree with my colleagues that we can't be so fast, get a fast decision and be crazy for some ideas. But also we can't be so slow. That I'm happy that my organization be part of Green Habitat Network, what include on different countries from Europe, Africa, and I hope maybe in future all the world, because with this collaboration we can discuss and listen opinion for different countries, and they have a different visions. And today when we discuss, we agree with many things. And I thought that it happened because we're from Nordic countries. We have a little bit similar vision, and maybe for us it's much more easy understood each other about our history, about place where we live. But also today we discuss with one lady from Sweden, but she came from Greece. And there they have a different vision about this question what we discussed. And that I've heard it's very important to make a collaboration that before make some decision, before say that only this way it's correct. We need to listen another people who have a different vision and different opinion about that, and only after that make something decision what can everybody accept.
This is a massive problem that needs to be addressed worldwide. It's very hard to do anything about this if all the nations are just going to think about their interests instead of doing it collectively. Because what we're talking about here is, and I've heard climate scientists and ecologists say this, that climate change is just one symptom of our ecological overshoot. Like you were talking about the old growth forests that are being demolished in many ways and are starting to burn more and more because of the heating climate. So, and taxes can be a useful tool there where we can take these externalities, these hidden costs in things and put them into the economy. This is something that needs to be done.
I agree. I'm very keen personally on climate, the fight against climate change being led by the carrot and not the stick.
Yeah, that's very important. And some say that, I don't know where you guys stand on this, but to my eyes, like the World Economic Forum, they want 3% economic growth every year. And that means a doubling of the world economy in 24 years. And in another 24 years, there's another doubling of the economy. And if the growth is connected to material use, water use, land use, energy use in the same way as it has been for the past decades, we're going to run out of a planet pretty soon.
I think also it's good to, if we could be a bit more understanding to each other. Also, for example, if we take a sensitive question like fish, because if we say that we are overfishing and we are blaming the companies for that, it's so easy for them to be taking a role like to protect themselves. But if we think about it, then we have scientists that tells them how much they can fish. And usually they are listening. They are listening to these facts and they are fishing as they tell them. The problem is that everyone is doing the same. So Icelanders, they fish exactly as much as they could. But Norway is doing the same. And we have the same type of water. Of course, it's different from depending on the fish. Some fishes, they will travel, and some fishes, they will keep more close to maybe Iceland or Norway. But we have the same water. So in the end, we have to collaborate, or these industries have to collaborate so that we are not overfishing. Of course, in total, if Norway does exactly how much they can, and Iceland together it will be overfished. But if we collaborate, then we could maybe lower it. But we have to come there to talk and start to see the problem as our common problem. It's not Norwegian's problem or Icelandic problem. It's our problem, and how can we make the best of it.
It's in our collective interest to do so.
I think to have a sustainable future, it has to be more naturally based on nature's laws. And one of nature's laws is that everything grows on something that dies. So in order to go forward, I think we have to consider the fact that some of our industries simply needs to be cut off so that we can make this new transition, because we can't have both happening in the same time, because that's when we have exactly this issue. One of the things that we also said in the conference was, are we saving the climate or the economy? And we can do both in a sustainable way, but we have to be very aware of exactly what we're trying to raise. What is the priority?
And how they cooperate together.
Yes.
Find balance.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, all connected.
One very important thing for us humans to realize is that reality is stronger than our ideas. Like if we're wrong on stuff, we're going to find out sooner or later. and these are issues that we do not want to fumble the ball with. But it seems a new level of human understanding and cooperation is required, because like you were going into, different regions have very different needs, and the majority of the world is still in poverty, and they're still developing, and they need some assistance to be able to develop sustainably. What can we do to press our nations and the European Union, Iceland, the rich countries of the world, because the way I see it, it's fundamentally them that are not really showing up. It seems we are at a dangerous moment where international cooperation is breaking down in many ways.
I think that we should share our sustainable technologies with the property countries with more property in there. So, and it shouldn't be like a big bill for that. It's like just the price what you normally would pay, in nothing like extra on top. So you will pay only what you need to pay, like what's really the cost for that to take control of this system. So that would be, and when you find out something new, you do it again, same way. You sell it in the same price as you would like normally would need it. Just the price for work and the price for the tools or the material what you need. Or you could recycle something if you find a way. We would talk about also in the conference that how we can make like nowadays machines make lots of new products very fast. But can we make machines that would recycle things fast also, and not just we need to by hand do everything. We could make machines to do that same way, and then we would recycle much more in the future, in that way also.
If I may add also here, there's many more things to do, but just to point out that what we're doing right now, it's exactly helping this transition, because we are networking with different sections like we talked about before. We met you guys here, and now we're sitting at this podcast and we're spreading the message even more. So if anyone at home is sitting and listening and thinking this is interesting, just know there is somebody in your country that has exactly the same ideas, have exactly the same visions, that wants to meet you and do exactly what's happening right now.
And also just to add that it's often that we talk about ourselves like we have all the solutions, we are the ones that are developing and so on. And yes, of course, we have been developing a lot and fast, but does it mean that we are the ones that should teach like poorer countries how to be more sustainable? Maybe we have to look at them. What are they doing that are sustainable? Because many of them are living super sustainable lives. How can we do to be more like them? So I think we also have to be more curious about other countries and how they are doing, and especially like we have seen also a lot. We come with our aid, and with that it comes also a lot of things that they have to do. We don't just give money. We have a lot of things that they have to follow to be able to get these money. So I think it's a complex question, but a really good question. And I think we should really think about what we can learn from them as well.
From the indigenous cultures of the world.
We talk a lot about.
Also think like this, that we should share all these like sustainable success stories. So we could more get the information out how somebody has done something correctly in some place, and in this kind of environment or this kind of place. So everybody else could get an idea that could this one also work in our place. So just adjust a little bit maybe, but get the same idea, do some tweaks in there, and then after that, okay, we have this same idea, we could make it happen same way.
I think this is really important to see we have different needs depending on where we are. So of course, if we see that they have a little bit similar the climate and everything, what are they doing, and cooperate there. I think that's really, yeah.
Yeah, why they are success in this and we are not? What's their like a magic trick in there?
I would like add about sharing, because we know the story, and here's one word called evolution, and we can influence in it. It's evolution. And about these developing countries, it's really hard to say, because when we gave them medicine, we developed them crisis. And here's we can share the stories. Sure, we can call in experts, but we should be very otherwise of it. And also, here is a point of view that calling to in North Africa, when I was in Tunis, and we describing these ideas and about sustainable development. And here's also about marketing and monopoly, because here's also Spencer from China, and they'll buy what they want. And here also, we can also ask that developing countries, why is it doing good? Oh, why not? But here's the problem that there's also other players who influence in it.
One success story I thought of was from China, exactly, because they have directed investments away from fossil fuels and into renewable energies these past few years, or a decade or two. And now the reality is that China is manufacturing more than half of all solar panels and almost, I think, 1/4 of all windmills, even though they're building new coal plants and so on and increasing emissions. Still, it seems like this financial thing they're doing, where they direct investments into new sectors.
Yeah, and Norway has an enormous, in a European scale at least, not in a China scale, but we have an enormous amount of qualified people to work offshore. And, it's very easy to look at China and say, well, they are manufacturing such and such and doing this, and that's so good, even though they are starting to pollute more, but it's per person, again, it's less than us, but again, it's more pollution. So if Norway also didn't have a democratic ruling form, it would also be incredibly easy for us to just say, okay, well, now you're producing oil, but 2 years from now you're going to produce windmills. So I think that even though in comparison to other governments, Europe's performance is slow, I think we should still, again, look within ourselves and think that we are living in a democracy anyways.
I don't think you necessarily need to get away with democracy to do this. Japan developed in many ways like this. They formed committees that would just direct investments into certain industries to develop the productive forces. And if you vote the people in and they have this policy, and they go and fulfill the policy.
Because what I've seen is that, oil can somehow be compared to heroin, because it clouds the judgments. It's incredibly hard for Norway to sit and say, you know what, we're making, I don't know, we're spending at least, I think it's 80 or 800 million euros or billion. It's a lot of money. That's my point. And that kind of money and that kind of freedom for Norway to say and do and spend money however it wants, we never have to worry about not having enough tax income. That clouds both the people's judgment and politicians' judgment.
Yeah, and that's why the Scandinavians countries are so lucky to have this state where we can have free healthcare, and so because Norway, because of our oil.
The oil funds. And you have more oil there. Am I remembering correctly that there are plans to go and do more drills?
Yes, they are. This was in response, also, again, not my government. I'm not going to defend it. I'm just going to enlighten. Because at the start of the Ukraine conflict, the war of aggression in Ukraine, there was a scare that there would not be enough energy in Europe, so the current government, led by the Workers' Party and the Farmers' Party, decided to start drilling for, not drilling, but drilling to look for oil in a very beautiful place. It's pretty well known. It's called Lofoten. Very nice place. I've never been, unfortunately, but, should it go wrong, as it often has, Ekofisk, for example, that landscape will be entirely wiped off the face of the earth. And that's why me and Viviane's government did not look for oil there, because the beauty and the nature and the biodiversity of the area makes it, it's unreasonable to look for oil there.
It should be a nature reserve.
Yeah.
But it is on land, but not in sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is important as well, is creating nature reserves, leaving nature alone in some places, and that can really help the ecology all around it.
Yeah.
Plus you can go and look at it.
Yeah. What was it called again?
Lofoten.
Lofoten. Gunnar.
Here's one thing that I think. So we want to make a better world, and we made a nuclear bomb. And here's was a difference, in my opinion, between China and also like Nordic countries, also Norway. That China is really good business capitalistic country, and if its country see something opportunity to invest, you make it first in the world. But Norway and Nordic countries are producing experts and new ideas, like generating of it. So here's the difference, in my opinion.
China is now graduating very many people. They're going forward, going to be a large country. We all need to work together. But it's so important, what you were saying, Matthias, is that fossil fuels, they are like heroin. They're so dense, they're so cheap to extract and to use. But we really need to control ourselves collectively. And the best way, of course, is to implement taxes, to implement policies that make it so that the economy develops in a certain way.
And use more like renewable energy, not coal-based energy anymore. Because it's possible. We have proven now that we can get solar, we can get wind, we can get water-based energy, and it's enough for us to make it happen.
And there are exciting possibilities that could be invested more in, like wave energy, capturing tremendous forces.
That's something that hasn't been like too much looked yet. We know it works also because it's been tested, yes, but it's not in large scale at all.
And one thing that I often hear is that, Norway, they produce 90 to 100% of our used electrical power from hydro plants. And why is that? Norway as an oil nation, it would make sense, it would be cheap to produce it so-called in-house and burn that fuel for power. But the thing that I feel people forget is that we started electrifying our country in the 1910s. We found oil in 1963. So.
And this is another key point, is how long this has taken to develop the Western countries. And Africa is way behind, many places in South America and Asia as well. They need to develop in, I would think, more sustainable ways than we have. Thank you very much for coming. When is the next Nordic Baltic Sustainability Conference? Do you know, or is it undecided?
Yes, we are planning.
It's in planning.
That next conference is happening in Estonia in November, in end of November. And more information you can look for unsdg.ee, more information about that, or website greenhabitat.eu, or website our partners. And very welcome to conference. We're always very happy to collaborate. Listen to your opinion, please participate and be active.
We all need to speak together, work together, understand each other, different perspectives.
Yes.
I'd also like to add about the next conference. So for a plan now, it will be from 28 November to 1st of December, and it will be in Estonia for this plan. And if you want to join, you can stay to us. We can provide all what we can. And the participation is free also. Our product is free, you don't need to pay something. And if you want to share, want to buy your interest, you're always welcome.
And in Iceland, it's a PEP organization that you can connect with to connect with you guys and take part in the next conference.
You can write on Facebook SSCW.
Alejandra, German, Maria, Janne, Matthias, Ylva, and Vivian. Thank you very much, and good luck to us all.
Thank
you. Keep fighting.
Likewise.
Thank you in the future.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.